Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Pod Save Chocolate. My name is Clay Gordon. I'm your host, and today we're going to be welcoming back Dustin Cornett. Dustin is the founder of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. And before I bring Dustin up on stage, what I want to do is I want to, number one, remind everybody that this episode of Pod Save Chocolate, like every episode, is sponsored by the members of the ChocolateLife.com. And here we are. This is the homepage of the Chocolate Life. You can go there now. This is live. And if you want to click on this little green button up here, yours will say join. Mine says account because I'm locked in. You can become a member of the Chocolate Life. There's no charge. And you'll be a supporter of Pod Safe Chocolate. I also want to remind everybody that for every single episode of Pod Safe Chocolate and the 149 episodes of the Chocolate Life Live that preceded Pod Safe Chocolate, there is a post on the Chocolate Life that you can go to, and you can find the links and the episode overview and comments and all kinds of stuff about every single episode. And so that's what I want to, we will be visiting this page during the course of the episode. And with that, what I want to do is I want to welcome back Dustin. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm just go.
Well, I understand. We have, there's a big thing that's happening in your life. You moved recently from Beattyville, Kentucky to Rushville, Indiana. And today is Tuesday. And in Thursday, you're going to be opening up your new cafe in Rushville. So you're sitting at your home kitchen rather than at the kitchen at the shop. And you're just 2 days away from reopening. So, hey, thank you for taking all this time out of your schedule today and talking about the 2024 edition of the Craft Chocolate Challenge.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do so. Excited to do so. Always am.
So 2024 is season 3. Can you take us back for people who might not be aware of what the challenge is and the history of the challenge? Can you tell us what it is that prompted you to want to create this competition? Because the competition is, set up very, very different from the way other competitions are set up. So, what's going on in your life? What is you're doing? You're saying, I need to have a new competition. What's that all about?
Yes, so I'm a chocolate maker, and whenever I was trying to learn more about my craft and improve and do things like that, I was trying to find the resources. I was in an area that I couldn't really network very well. I didn't really have a schedule that allowed that anyway.
Western Kentucky.
It was Eastern Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the hills of Appalachia. So it was tricky for me. And chocolate wasn't the only part of my business, so making time for that was really hard. So I entered some other contests to see if I could get some feedback to help, but it wasn't very adequate. I couldn't really take it and change anything from what I was doing already. So I thought there's probably other people like myself out there. So I decided we need something to help chocolate makers learn how to make better chocolate and to improve how they want to improve and learn if they're doing something, that people like or they don't like. So I created the Craft Chocolate Challenge as a way to address that. And it's feedback heavy. It's a contest because it's fun to be a contest, and we have awards, so we're able to make it special that way. But it's more about giving feedback and helping the chocolate makers get to, a chance to create some community, to grow together and things like that. So that was the reason for doing it. I can't enter my own contest, so it didn't help me 100% directly, but it still has helped me some as a chocolate maker.
But you are one of the judges.
Yeah.
And so what you do is you get to evaluate all of the chocolates, and you can internally, in your mind, compare them against what it is that you're doing. So it is a value to you in that respect. But what I want to do is I know that there's some people who are watching. So if you want to go into the live chat on YouTube or on LinkedIn or Facebook, into the comments, let us know where in the world you're connecting from. We'll get that shout out up on screen. And if you have a question for Dustin about the way the challenge is organized, or anything about the challenge, put it into the comments. We'll get the question up on screen and we'll get it asked for you. So, Dustin, I think that one of the things which is interesting for many people is that if you go to take a look at other competitions, it seems like every year they're adding new categories. And so there are logistical questions about, how many judges it requires and all that other kind of stuff. So one of the things I think that's unusual about the Craft Chocolate Challenge is you've limited the number of categories that there are. Can you tell, why you decided we're only doing 4 categories?
Yeah, so limit the categories, limit the entries. It's the categories, like as I mentioned before, the contest isn't the main part. So we have to be able to separate the types of chocolates, but we don't have to go dive in too deep. In a perfect world, maybe we would do a flavored dark chocolate and a non-flavored dark chocolate and then have that. But that's not the goal, the overall goal of the contest. The overall goal of the contest is to get feedback. We're going to be able to see if people prefer the flavored chocolate over plain chocolate, because they're going head to head in the dark chocolate category. So we're going to be able to see that, which is actually interesting information. But we have to keep everything under control, because we have to be able to allow the judges to do the best they can do. Like, we're giving them a whole sheet to fill out and talk about the chocolate and talk about the presentation with the packaging of the chocolate, talk about the mold of the chocolate, everything. Like, it's a whole experience. This is what you're doing. You get this bar, you get a full bar, and you look at it, and then you taste it, and you go over, and then you have enough to retaste and retaste. So you get to experience the whole thing. And then you relay that information to the chocolate maker. And I feel like that's the best route for us to do. So we have to limit things. And this year we even limited more entries. We cap categories. Other places, other contests don't do that, because they need to get as many as they can, because they make money from that. And
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I mean, one of the things which I think surprises people is that this competition is free to enter.
yeah,
Right? There is no entry fee. I mean, all you as a chocolate maker need to do to enter is to provide at least 1 bar per judge. And so it's your cost of manufacturing for the bar plus whatever it takes to ship from wherever you are to where you are. So as a competition, it seems to be relatively inexpensive. How do you see that sort of influencing the kinds of, because I think, I remember from our earliest conversations about this a couple of years ago, that, part of this is to encourage newer companies, younger companies, perhaps those that have not yet entered into one of the international competitions, because they're not really sure yet how their products stack up.
Yeah. So I know that it's a very difficult business to be a chocolate maker, especially a really small business as a chocolate maker. There's not a lot of extra funds to put in, entering contests and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that the other contests are not worth it, because you get a lot of promotion out of it if you win and things, and there's a lot more winners in those contests. So you can promote your chocolate, your award-winning chocolate. So there is definitely a return on investment for entering the other contests. But like I said, it's not the main point for this contest. So for us, it's about being not anything that like cost prohibitive. We want to be inclusive, and we even, like, I send out surveys afterwards to see if I've done everything that the chocolate makers would like, or if they think there's anything else I can add to it to make it better. It's all about doing it for the chocolate maker. That's the whole point. So to price the smaller ones out of it doesn't make any sense at all, because that's the ones I want to help.
So yeah, I want to do a quick shout out before we continue. First to Elmer Pineda, who's connecting from Honduras today. Yohoa Chocolate. Hey Elmer, happy to see you. And I think your company, Yohoa, is exactly the kind of company that should be entering this competition. So if you haven't already, go fill out the form. And there's still a couple of weeks left to receive entries, and we'll talk about the entry process in just a little while. So Elmer, and then I want to welcome, Mark and Yuri from Blue Spruce Chocolates, Kittredge, Colorado. It's good to see. Oh yeah, Elmer says that he's already working on it. But I just want to say that Mark, Yuri, Blue Spruce Chocolates was a winner, one of the winners in last year's competition. So Dustin, I'm happy. This is the second year that I'm going to be the head judge of the competition. So it was really fun for me to be able to work through the judging guidelines last year. But can you tell everyone a little bit about how you select the judges, what you're looking for in a judge? Because, hey, if you're out there and you want to be a judge in future competitions, you can email Dustin and say, I'd like to be a judge. But what are you looking for in a judge? And then how do you communicate about the judges to both the chocolate companies and to the members of the general public? Because I think that's a little different from other competitions as well.
Yeah, so we don't say exactly who the judge is, but we'll give relevant information about their likes, their dislikes, and their background and things like that. So, and how I find those, I want a very diverse panel. I don't want all chocolate tasters or certified chocolate tasters. I don't want all of the same group. I have to have a diverse panel, and that comes back to the feedback, because one group of people might feel completely different than another group of people. So I like to get chocolate makers on the panel. I like to get some chocolate certified tasters on the panel. I like to get some chocolate reviewers that have had a lot of experience reviewing and being able to relay that information to makers. It's also important to find somebody that knows how to relay information. I mean, anybody can maybe have their thoughts, but if they can't communicate those thoughts to somebody else, then it's not really doing a whole lot of good. So that's why we kind of do the process of, like, I judge the judges, like a process of they have a sample to do, and I can see how they're able to fill out the forms and things like that. So
what I've done, Dustin,
yeah.
So what I've done, Dustin, just to interrupt real quickly, is what I've done is I put up the page for season 2. So last year, the 2023 Craft Chocolate Challenge. And what everybody can do is they can find out who the winners are. And then what they can also do is find out who the judges were, at least by a profile. So we have one chocolatier who prefers Italian food. They like milk chocolates, and they like to drink vodka with Red Bull, and not a beer drinker. So yeah, that's not me, right? But you also have a pastry chef who likes Japanese, who drinks tea. So you can get an idea, if you're want to enter, what the diversity of the judging panel is like. I think that one of the things that has happened in some of the more professional awards is they're tending towards certified tasters. And if every certified taster has taken the same tasting program, they're all evaluating every chocolate the same way. And I personally think that that's not necessarily the best thing for chocolate makers, if who are just starting out, that this diversity of opinion is probably the best. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about it. And from talking with entrants and winners in past years, what do you get the sense from the people who have participated in the competition?
So we're doing it as a business. So I'm in a very different area, even before and now, than somebody on the West Coast. It's just the market, the people who are going to come and buy my product is going to be different. So I might not be able to do a whole big line of 80, 85, 90% dark chocolate. Like, it just maybe not going to happen for me. So we have to have that versatility and that flexibility as a chocolate maker, thinking about being a sustainable chocolate maker and doing it as a business. So market is important. What you're talking about from the judging standpoint is, if we have these certified tasters on here, and you'll be marked like this is judge number whatever, and it's going to be on your sheet, so you can line those up. And if your bars have done well with the certified tasters, what that tells you is maybe this is a good bar to enter into one of the other contests that they heavily have certified tasters be a judge, and things like that. And then maybe that will help you that way, because we do want you to enter other contests and try. And when you win, we're happy that, it's like, we have like a group of people who have entered with the alum of the Craft Chocolate Challenge, that anytime they do anything special, we're super happy about it. And we feel part of, not that we've made that happen for them, but it's like the community of being happy for each other and things like that. So yeah, I think I went off a little bit of a direction there, but
again, a lot of this, represents. So if I think about the way, for example, the Academy of Chocolate awards were created, when I think about the International Chocolate Awards creation, the impetus for them, so the Academy of Chocolate Awards came first. There were people who were not happy with the Academy of Chocolate, how it was awarding its awards, and so they broke off and created another awards, the International Chocolate Awards. Is that neither of those, nor the Good Food Awards, nor even the Northwest Chocolate Festival, because the founder of the Northwest Chocolate Festival is not a chocolate maker. You're coming into this is like, okay, as a chocolate maker, what it is that I would have liked to have seen, right, in the awards. So, and remind me, because I'm not involved in the one-to-one communication with the chocolate makers, but when I fill out a judging form, right, you end up sending a PDF of the entire form.
Yes.
So that every single one of the entrants receives every single complete judging form, not just a comment or two. But they will, if I write 100 words about something, right, they will get all 100 words in all of the context with everything. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So they get
And
the complete experience that you had, given back to them. Some of them, they're happy for that, and then some I've actually heard that it hurts their feelings a little bit or something to get some of the feedback if it's not all positive. But it was just, the point is to learn from it. So I feel bad about that too, but that's just what we're doing. And hopefully somebody that tells you that in this contest isn't a customer repeating that to like 20 other people, just trying to help that way.
Right. This is professionals who are communicating directly with professionals, and none of that information is made publicly available.
No.
So we as I think we're doing a disservice as a judge. I think we're doing a disservice to the companies whose products we're rating if what we're doing is we're not presenting, I think, a realistic picture of what's doing. I mean, the value that we have as judges is, I've been, writing about chocolate professionally for 20 some odd years. I've tasted thousands of chocolates, and what I'm doing is I'm bringing my taste memory. So this compared to all the other things, how does it fit? Right? What are my ideas? And Mark, from Blue Spruce, if you're still watching and you want to throw in a comment, I would be really interested in knowing from you your experience with receiving the feedback that you got on this at some point, if you can throw a comment into this. So Dustin, there are four. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. There are four different categories here. There's a dark chocolate, which consists of both plain and flavored, right, without inclusions.
Yes.
Right. Then there is a milk chocolate, plain and flavored category. So all of them are judged together. There's a white chocolate, plain and flavored. And then there's a fourth category, which is dark milk or white with inclusions. Right? So how do you think, again, having four categories rather than 9, right, makes it a whole lot easier. But, how did you decide on those 4, right, as where to go? Because that's been pretty consistent from the first year.
It's been consistent, and I just had to have each category also be competitive. So when you're limiting entries and you can only give so much chocolate to the judges to do what they need to do, if you have 9 categories and you only have like 3 or 4 or 5 in each category because you can only take so much chocolate, those categories are not competitive. So by giving an award, it's like, does that award have much value to it actually? Because so the categories need to be competitive. Now, is it fair to be competitive, like a dark chocolate inclusion against a white chocolate inclusion? I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I feel like an inclusion is a different experience than just a straight bar. So I'm fine with that comparison. Now, if you get into like artificial sweeteners and things like that, going up against sugar, is that fair? Depends on the panel. And then that's why we have innovation So we can able to add something like, well, this might not be super competitive against this, but it's a different way of doing the chocolate that has value on its own. So, but I can't do too many categories because of that. It needs to be competitive.
You've just said something which is really, really interesting. And you and I had this long conversation about adding another award, right? So one of the things about the 2024 Season 3 Challenge is that there's going to be a new award, and that award is going to be for innovation, right? And it was deliberately not made a category. So it's not like I have to decide whether I want to put this in the inclusion category or the innovation category. So innovation is sort of a meta recognition by the judges, which is, and we talked about this last week. And I think that, the decision that we've made, do you mind if we share it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Transparent.
So what's going to happen is that every judge is going to taste every chocolate within the category. And just, while I'm talking about this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over. And if you go to the Craft Chocolate Challenge website right now and you click on Season 3, what you'll do is here is a list of the official entries. And an official entry consists of anybody who has filled in an entry form, and then Dustin has received the chocolate. So you can enter, and it's not official until Dustin gets the chocolate. And we'll talk about the limits this year because they're different from previous years. But what will happen is that every judge will taste every chocolate. So if right now there are about 50 bars listed. And what that means is that I will get a package that will have 50 bars in it. And I will receive an email which will have 50 attachments to it. And what Dustin will have done is he will have said, okay, here's the name of the company, here's the entry, and here's some basic information. So how much the bar weighs and how much the bar costs and things like that. So we've got some basic idea of the chocolate. So none of this is blind, which is also very important because the import here is feedback, right? Not necessarily on a scale of 1 to 10, which gets a 10 and which gets a 7, although we do rate them that way. But what we're going to do is after we have done all of the judging of the individual bars, there's going to be another rating sheet. And each of the judges is going to say, okay, within each category, within the dark chocolate category, within the milk chocolate category, is that correct? Within the white chocolate category, right? And with the inclusions category, what we're going to do is we're going to say, we think, and then we have to provide our justification. Each judge has to provide our justification that we think that within this category, this is a really innovative product. And we get to define what that means, right? Right. And then what will happen is that there will be an analysis of these in which winners will emerge. And so it's quite possible that what we'll do is we'll get a bar which is awarded as being innovative, which might not necessarily be a winner in one of their categories. Is that I think I remember that correctly. Is that the way you remember it, Dustin?
Yeah. So they're going to be nominated by rank, and then only 3 will actually win an innovation award. So, which is like this guy here.
Yep.
So it's
everybody
by Cocoa Supply. But yeah, so we have 4 categories, right? And there are going to be 3 nominated in each category, but there's only 3 that will get the innovation award, and that innovation award itself is not ranked. Like there's not a gold, silver, or bronze of the innovation award. And throughout the process of the judges will say why they think it is innovative, and you'll get that information as well. So,
but that's a separate judging forum. It's not actually a part of the main judging, or do you? Or, I mean, again, because you haven't distributed forms yet, you want to throw that innovationness into the main judging forum, or do you think you want to keep it as part of a separate, as sort of a judging forum?
I have to to think about that a little bit, because not every bar will be innovative. If you send just a plain dark chocolate or a plain milk chocolate, it's just it is what it is. I mean, it's not good or anything. It's not innovation. So I have to figure out if we're just going to have this feedback on like it's nominated, and this is why it's nominated, and then if it's not nominated, I mean, we might have a little bit of a comment, like maybe have a little box where you check or something, nominated or not nominated. And if it's not nominated, you can kind of give a reason why, and not like too deep in detail probably. But then if it is nominated, that'd be a separate sheet with the score and then tell why it's nominated for innovation. And that's kind of how I'm playing with it in my head. But I still have to confirm all that.
Gotcha. So let's go back to this page on the website right now. And again, these are the official entries, which means that the entry form has been entered and the chocolate has actually been received by Dustin. So, you've always, we were talking about this just before we went live, there's always been an international component. So there have always been people from Japan and South America and other places. How do what are your feelings right now in terms of sort of the international representation in this year's challenge? Because I'm looking at just the dark chocolate category and I see Japan and France and Norway and Canada and Ecuador. Is New Zealand represented for the first time this year? I think.
Yes.
We've got Brazil and Taiwan. And then we've got beans coming from all over the place. Thailand, Ecuador, the Dominican Republic, Chiapas in Mexico, Venezuela, Awahun in Peru, the Philippines. I mean, Mashpee is using Ecuadorian. I mean, Haiti from New Zealand. I mean, that represents a sort of a level of diversity within this one category that is really, really quite remarkable. And as a judge, it's one of the things that's really exciting to me. It's not like, oh, I've got a flight of 11 chocolates and all of them are 70% 2-ingredient, Peruvian beans. And I'm going, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? Because, you end up, focusing on very, very small nuanced details, which is a challenge. So, as the organizer, I got to believe that this is, really, really, not just exciting for you, but you're feeling, yeah, I mean, we're doing something which is, people are responding to in an important way. So can you talk about, how you feel about, sort of that sort of evolution of the contest?
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting and it's great. And then to have all the different countries around the world be part of this is really just, it's awesome. Like, I created it and just a couple of years ago, and now we're able to do that. And I capped at 25 entries. We have more dark entries that just haven't arrived yet. So I've had to cap it and no more dark. So let's talk
about that, right? Because I know that last year, in terms of the number of entries, any one company could, I believe, enter 4 different bars. Up to 4?
Yeah, so they could enter one bar in every category.
Your video is frozen.
Oh no.
Right, but could they enter more than? Yeah, you're back. Could they enter more than one bar into one category, or were they limited to 1 entry per category?
So year 1, they could enter up to like 5, and it didn't matter which category. Then I learned that's not going to work. Then year 2, it's like you can enter 1, but it has to be in a different category. So I let the maker enter 4, up to 4 bars, but just 1 per category. And now this time, it's all right, we have to scale back. So it's 2. They have to choose which category now they want to enter. And this helps us get more chocolate makers because that's the goal. And I don't know in the future if I'll limit it to just 1 category, if 2 is good. I feel like 2 is good because if they enter 2, it's a way to be like, well, this bar was really good, but this bar was off. So it lets us kind of compare the maker's craft in a sense to kind of be able to help them of maybe what went wrong with this one, but this one is superb. So I kind of like to keep it at two. What
Mhm.
I'm thinking about now as how to limit things is graduating. So if you've won, then if you've won so many years or you've won so many times, then probably you don't need our help anymore. So
Mhm.
possibly graduating winners and have a separate page on the site celebrating their graduation. Um,
Right. Chocolate makers emeritus, right?
it's like
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the point of it is not
Yeah.
just to have the same people enter every year and to just rack up
Right.
awards. Is not the point. We're happy your
Right.
chocolate's good, but it's not the
Right.
point.
Or the same bar in the same category in multiple years.
Oh,
If
I
you've
don't
won in
know.
1 year, yeah.
Yeah, so if you've entered, whether you've won or you haven't won, you cannot enter that bar again. Um, I've set that, though I'll probably have to have that like for a duration of time.
Hmm.
So maybe over 3 or 4 years or something.
Hmm.
But at the moment, it's yeah. If you've entered that bar before, you can't enter it again.
Gotcha. So I want to do a quick shout out to Mike King at Encore Coffee Company in Kansas City, Missouri. Probably the most political thing that's ever been mentioned in any episode of Pod Save Chocolate is Go Chiefs. So yeah, I understand about that. I understand, but hey, Mike. I know that you've entered this year, and so I'm really, really interested in knowing. You were a winner last year in one of the categories. I think it was a flavored milk chocolate, a coffee flavored milk chocolate last year. So if you can, give us a quick comment on how you decided to approach your entry this year, what you're thinking of, and just let us know. And number one, what do you think about being an entrant and the feedback that you got, how it's been helpful for you as a chocolate maker? Not just was the award been helpful for you, but if the feedback has been helpful for you. But I want to also do a quick shout out to Luci Sugitan from Dubai. Luci, I'm trying to remember. Have you and I ever corresponded? I think from the Philippines. I know the name and I know that we've been connected somehow. I may have missed this info. The 2024 entries are closed now. Good segue into the next topic. I'm trying to multitask at the website and listen to this episode. Okay, so Dustin, tell us, what are the deadlines for this year's contest?
Yeah, so it's not closed. You have until the 21st of this month to enter the form online. And then you have until the 28th of the month to get the chocolate to me. If you've sent it and it's going to be a little later than the 28th and you're able to like communicate with me, that's fine. But we just have to have open lines of communication. Now, there's been a lot of people that have entered earlier in the year that haven't sent their chocolate yet. I communicate with everybody. I send them an email letting them know kind of what to do, send me tracking information, things like that. If you're listening, send your chocolates. Just send it now. Just let's do this. And when I get your chocolate, I'm going to try to promote it on our Instagram and things like that. I'm a little behind on some of them at the moment because I've been busy moving my family and business and all that fun stuff, but I will put everybody's up there. And you have links to everybody's site on that page you're showing. So whoever's entered, like you can go to their website, check them out. It's a way to promote the chocolate makers. It's to help the chocolate makers. We promote them and we encourage people that are following us that aren't chocolate makers, just interested in this whole procedure, to buy the chocolate that's in this contest. And I'll even make the judging forms available for them to fill out if they want to send it, and I'll send it on to the judges. We had a few do that last year.
I think that's really interesting. If you are not an official judge, but would like to go through the evaluating process, what you can do is you can contact Dustin directly. He will send you an empty evaluation form, and you can make as many copies of it as you want. But then you can go out and buy as many of these chocolates as you want and do your own evaluation of them using the same rubric. And we'll actually send you the judging guidelines. These are the criteria that the judges use. as a part of evaluating the chocolates. I think that's really, really important. And, you know, we try to do, I know that you and I try to do as much as we can to promote that aspect of it, which I think it's really fun. I mean, no matter what, you as a member of the general public can't use the judging rubric of the Academy of Chocolate in order to be able to judge one of the winners and find out if you give it the same marks, right? But we're publishing the judging rubric. I just want to remind everybody that entering is a two-step process. So between now and the 21st of February, you need to go to the season 3 page of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. There's this blue button here which says enter. And what it's going to do is it's going to take you to a Google form. And you fill out the Google form with all of the information, right? All this does is let Dustin know that you want to enter the competition, right? The next step is to go back and actually ship Dustin the chocolate, right? And I'm sure that there's a page here that says how many bars you need to ship and all that kind of stuff. But there is at least one per judge, which is really, really important.
Well, I do. It's not exactly one per judge. I try to get as many judges as I can out of the chocolate sent. But the remote judges, definitely it's one per judge. But I do an in-person judging as well. So some of that will be shared, but everybody's going to see the packaging, the mold, and everything in full form. But I do try to get as many judges as I possibly can out of the amount of bars. We first started with 11 bars for people to send. Now it's 8. Like I said, it needs to be easy for the chocolate maker to do. 8 is more than any other contest that I've seen. But you actually have to pay to enter those contests too.
Yeah, there's no entry fee. I'm also sort of selfish about it in a way because, you know, just so that people know from a promotion perspective, one of the things we did last year for the first time is we did a tasting, so that of all of the winners, so that you could, you know, we ended up purchasing all of the winning chocolate from the makers, except for the one company that went out of business. And we sent boxes to everybody who'd purchased. And then, you know, setting up on, you know, my Google Meet account, we got together and we talked about all the chocolate that won. We tasted all the chocolate interactively over the course of a couple of hours. Some of the makers, some of the winners were in that as well. So you got a chance to contact the makers directly. And so I think that promotional aspect and the ability to interact with people is a really, really important part of the competition for me. And I think it's one of the things that makes what you're doing, Dustin, with the Craft Chocolate Challenge very, 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 very different. So what I want to do is I want to get to a couple of comments, if I may, Dustin. The first one from Mark and Yuri at Blue Spruce: graduating makes sense. Give everybody an opportunity. So one vote, right? We just need to figure out, you know, is it, you know, after you've entered 3 times, you have to take a year off, or if you've won 3 times, you're permanently retired. I don't think you've made that decision yet.
I haven't made the decision. I'm leaning towards if you've won 3 times, you're good to go. But now, like, I'm open to them sending for review. So I mean,
so talk about that. So talk about that as well, because that's another thing which is about the competition, which I think is different.
Yeah. So in the sense where I graduate somebody, all right, I want to still be inclusive. So if they're playing around with something and they want that feedback, I feel like I can open it up for a review only case, but not like they're in the competition against others. It's just, I'll send it to the judges. The judges will fill out the form and just a review only basis and give you feedback from that. I think that could be a perk for graduating, you know? So.
Well, and as if I recall correctly, there were 2 bars. I think last year there were 49 bars I ended up tasting. I think that 2 of those 49 were review only.
Yeah, sometimes people don't follow the rules and they send me more chocolate than they're allowed to enter. I don't want to waste their chocolate. And so I will do the review only thing for them. And we have one this year too that we will do review only because they sent too much chocolate. So yeah, I'm understandable. I'm not going to waste anybody's chocolate, and I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So, and then things get confusing, whatever. But
So I'm just looking at this right now, and if you're capping, right, 25 entries per category, I suppose it's theoretically possible that I could end up with a box that has 100 bars in it shipped to me.
yeah, probably not going to happen this year, but it could.
Last year there were 49, right? So that was still a lot. And I think that, for a judge who is not doing the in-person judging, one of the things that I really loved about this is that I got to set not only my own schedule on this, but it wasn't like I had to set up, okay, today I'm going to be tasting 17 different dark chocolates, and tomorrow it's going to be 17 different milk chocolates, right? What I did is I went through all of these things and I created daily flights of about 7 bars. And so I was today 7 bars, and I'm going to mix it up and make it interesting for me to do this, right? And that, it turns out, is one of the things that we leave up to each one of the judges. I mean, there is a rubric that says this is how you judge, but there's no schedule for what you judge or in what order or anything like that, which is, I think, one of the things that's fun about this for me. When I was judging at the International Chocolate Awards, everybody was tasting the same thing at the same time. And there was a deadline. We had to taste all 9 of these things, and we had less than an hour, for example. So it ends up being quite a chore. And for a judge, this ends up being really, really interesting for me. I suppose if you're watching and you're a past entrant or want to be a future entrant, what do you think? What do you think about this method of judging? Does it need to be much more rigorous, or because of the way this contest is organized, that you think that that sort of letting the judge's personality come through in the way they choose to do things is, and whether or not that's interesting feedback to know. Should I, as a judge, say, okay, here's my approach to how I organized my own judging? That could be interesting to see if there are different approaches to judging, and do certified tasters do it one way, and people who are just general food reviewers do it another way. It could be interesting. I mean, I love those little details which provide color to the results. What I want to do is do a quick shout out to Mike. Last year was milk chocolate. This year I entered a dark single origin and dark milk with coffee. Selected my favorites that I enjoy. I figure if I enjoy it, hopefully others will too. Yeah, and I want to let everybody know Encore Coffee Company. Mike has got a coffee company in Kansas City, and during lockdown COVID, he started making chocolate. And so, obviously there's a lot of overlaps between roasting coffee and roasting chocolate, roasting cocoa beans. And so, good on. And, he was an award winner last year, so good for him. I'm going to get back to Lucci in Dubai. Yes, Clay, you helped me decide what tempering machine to buy years ago, and of course, listen to these. Hello, Dustin. Interesting profile of judges. They're like a representation of any chocolate maker's market. Yay, which I think is important. I think is a good thing too, as at the end of the day, chocolate making is a business, and to get feedback from diverse judges is great. So thank you for that feedback and confirmation. So, Dustin, we're about 3/4 of the way through. So quick set. I want to remind everybody you're watching Pod Save Chocolate. This episode, as every episode of Pod Save Chocolate, is sponsored by the members of the Chocolate Life. If you're not a member, go over to thechocolateLife.com and join. There's a free membership, and then there's the opportunity to support what I'm doing. Don't do advertising, don't do Patreon, any of those kinds of things. Direct membership here on the Chocolate Life. And there are, of course, member benefits for doing that. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, a like of the video, subscribe to the channel, a thumbs up for the notifications would be a great thing as well. So, Dustin, there's one more thing I want to talk about the judging, and then you can tell me if there's anything else you want to say about this year's competition, and then we'll get into the last announcement, right, which has as much as anything to do with your move. So when you're looking for judges, right, what are the most, because I don't have any say in who you select. I mean, I didn't even know who most of the judges were for last year. I think I know 2 for this year, right, of the others. But what are your primary criteria for selecting judges? How do you go about managing the mix and what it is that you're looking for in a judge?
So there's a lot that goes into it, and there's several different steps. One step is kind of allergies and things like that. So since I want the judge to do all the categories, I have to know if they can handle dairy, because they're going to do milk chocolate and white chocolate. And so that, I hate to have to exclude people that have the allergies and things like that, but we're doing all the chocolates. So that's one factor. Other factor is, you have to be at least interested and kind of like chocolate. That's kind of a big thing. So, and after that, I just start really diving in. So, all right, so this person, um, they are chocolate buyers, so they know they know good chocolate. They know what chocolate sells. From
Those two are not actually necessarily the same thing.
From packaging and then from taste. So it's like they're going to be able to give some different feedback than the chocolate maker or the certified chocolate taster. So each person has their own strong point, and when it comes together as a panel, it just makes it balanced. That's what I try. So I try to get some just regular chocolate lovers, kind of like your regular customer and things like that. Even somebody who doesn't have like great experience with the craft chocolate world, not exactly introducing them, but still maybe a novice in that category, just to see how they taste it. Because a lot of people in my world, that's what we have to do to get our first customers, because a lot of them don't know about craft chocolate. So if we're giving them something that they don't like, then it's hard to keep them as a customer. So we need that in there to know their taste, and we need the chocolate lovers that just die-hard chocolate people, kind of chocolate snobs. And then we need the ones who have had so much chocolate that it's like an encyclopedia in their head, and they can just come out with, all right, well, this takes me back to here and to this. This is what I like about it, and I'm going to tell you what I like about it, and not necessarily tell you that you've done anything wrong, but my experience allows me to tell you about what you've presented me with. So, like, does that make any sense?
Well, it does a lot. And the thing that it reminds me of is, again, if everybody is a certified taster, for example, and they've all taken the same certification course, then they're all looking at the chocolate the same way. And chances are they're all used to not only evaluating the chocolate the same way, but also in writing comments the same way. And so I think that one of the great advantages of having a really diverse panel. Now, it's not to say that there is no diversity if everybody has done, a certified tasting course. I mean, there is a lot of diversity in terms of background, right, of the people who take these courses, but they're all evaluating from the same way. And so I think that having somebody who's a chocolate reviewer and somebody who's a food reviewer, and maybe somebody whose primary interest is maybe in beer, what you do is you get not only that different experience, but they're actually bringing a different vocabulary, and they're describing things in very, very different ways. And I think that there might be, one of the things that I tried to do in the feedback last year was, if I had something that I thought was, truly exceptional or different about any particular one, was describe it in a way that somebody could say, oh, here's language that I might be able to use, that I can talk to people about, you as the maker could talk, or the entrant could talk about the chocolate. So, for me, having that diversity in the panel, not just in terms of who the people are, but their approaches and their backgrounds, is really, really key to the primary goal, which is the feedback, which is associated with this.
Yeah. And I want to touch on something too real quick, is, I don't really give a strict deadline for when they have to return the judging profiles to me. I kind of have an idea of when I want it, and I kind of push for that a little bit, but there's not like any strict deadline. So in the case where you're talking about how you judged before, where you just have to do it pretty quickly, a novice can't do that. Like, you just can't put anybody in that situation and expect any type of result at all. But for what we're doing, they can take a bite of it, kind of, see what's going on, start writing a little bit, take another bite of it, and that experience. And even if they get like some type of block, hey, they can come back the next day and take another bite of it. So it's being able to give that time, you can really get the feedback you need. And that's why that panel, it works better that way. Now, for that, what you're talking about, that contest, it wouldn't work that way. You'd have to have somebody who's trained and tasting and go, but not for what we do.
Yeah, and for me personally, as I said, we had 49 bars last year, and I spread it over 7 days. And then I would say, I would give myself either 3 or 4 in the morning, right, and the balance in the afternoon. And if I got to the point, because I was doing, a large number of, white chocolates or things with inclusions, I might hit my limit. I just say, listen, I can't do this anymore. I need to take a break of an hour or 2 or 3, and then come back later. I would give myself that luxury of doing it. And I can tell you, as a judge, it made a huge amount of sense. I mean, if I had the discipline of, okay, I need to do 7 of these things every hour for the next 7 hours, gosh, by the end of the first 2 hours, I would be like, my brain is overloaded, my palate is overloaded. I don't want to go and do this anymore.
How fair is that to the person at the end? Their chocolate
It's
at the
not
end.
At all.
It's not. So you can't really evaluate that way. So,
Well, no, I would say it's a different evaluation. Right?
Yeah.
And number one, and it does require a very disciplined, very experienced.
Yeah, that's true. I give you that. But if you don't understand that line where, let's say 6 is just, after 6, and you don't understand 7 is you can't handle it. You taste 7, and then that's the only sample of 7 you get. You don't get another bite of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
poor guy that spent $65 and more to send that chocolate to you. It's like,
Yeah, I sort of wonder to what extent the order of tasting matters in some of these very, very large competitions. Because I personally, from my experience, it does have an impact. I know that I had this conversation speaking with Zelia Frangioni, who manages the Bean to Bar Brazil competition, that she has a very specific rubric that every single judge needs to taste everything in a different order, right? So that everybody is not progressing from one to another, and they're not all having the same palate influence. Like, they're not remembering one flavor going into the next one, which is another thing which is really important. I don't know the order in which any of the other judges tastes anything. And I think that's really, really helpful for me as a judge. Anyway. So before we run, Dustin, I want to talk about something new, which is different and exciting, which is the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival. So why don't you go tell everyone a little bit more about the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival?
Yeah, so Rushville, Indiana is my new home, and they've welcomed me with open arms. And I'm like, hey, why don't we do a chocolate festival? And let's do it not like the baked goods chocolate festival. Let's do it for the craft chocolate makers. I take the same approach that I do with the Craft Chocolate Challenge, because I'm a maker myself, from that perspective of what would I want in a festival? Well, I want a network. I want education. I want opportunity to make money through sales, but it has to be a balance of that. So they're like, cool. And then I'm like, well, how big do you want to do? And they're like, we're comfortable doing the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival. So they want to do it big. They want to do it right. We have a team together of people in the chocolate industry, and then the locals working together on creating this. I'm inclusive. So I go on the Well-Tempered forum and give anybody an opportunity to send out like their thoughts, and even before, if they wanted to be involved in things, just to let me know, because that's part of it. We're doing it for the makers. We're doing it for the craft chocolate industry. We want to educate the general public about why it's important to buy craft chocolate over industrial chocolate. Why is it more expensive? There's reasons for all of it. and we want to share that and educate and build a strong community together to be able to do that. And this festival will be a great way to start that here in the Midwest and Indiana.
Right. So just a quick note from Elmer in Honduras. So Yohoa says, festival is great news. Keep up the good work, Dustin. I agree entirely with that sentiment. So there are a couple of questions so number one, to everybody, there's not a whole lot of information here on this website yet. But what you can do is you can go, probably on the Contact Us page or down here, is that you can put your information in and they will keep you up to date with where things are going. But mark in your calendar November 22nd to 23rd, which is the weekend before Thanksgiving, right?
Yes.
This year, that's going to be happening in Rushville, Indiana.
Yes.
So, Dustin, really, really quickly, it says Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival. Does that mean you only want makers from the Midwest?
No, it's located in the Midwest. So we want makers from all over. If you want to come and be part of it, yes, please come. Let's do this together. So, yeah.
Right. And I recall from conversation that what you're trying to do is you're trying to make this as affordable for the exhibitor as possible. Right?
Yep.
So, yeah,
I mean,
again, right.
Yep, same concept.
Just in case anybody is interested in knowing, Rushville, Indiana is a fairly small town, like you see, 6,000 to 10,000 people, maybe in the metro area. But it's situated between Cincinnati, Dayton, and Indianapolis. So within an hour's drive, that circle, there are over 3 million people, right? And there's already like a Christmas festival, you said, Dustin?
Yes. So that Friday, they have their Christmas event. And the
town of Rushville.
It's going to be in the same area as the festival. The festival for the vendors will be indoors. The Christmas event is outside. But there's already like 1,000 to 2,000 people that come to that. So we're starting with that base, and we probably won't do. I mean, we're still trying to figure out everything, but I don't think we'll do like the education, like classes and stuff Friday. But we'll do some like vendor setup, and then be able to kind of have like a makers dinner and things like that where we can network and talk with each other. But you have already that many people coming to that. And then Saturday will be the big one where we try to draw in the people from Dayton, Indy, and Cincy to come in for the full day event, where we will have all the classes and education, speakers, and vendors, and make it a pretty fun time. And we have to have a buy-in for the vendors, because we can't just leave it like entry is free, like the Craft Chocolate Challenge. But we're planning to have like a reimbursement system. If you speak or if you do certain things, that money will come back to you. So hopefully we can, at the end of it, have it to be equal, where you actually aren't paying anything after the fact that you've come and you've spoken and you've given samples and things like that. So that's the plan, and we'll see where we can go with it. It's not for profit. So the Heart of Rushville, which is their Main Street program, is taking on the festival. So it's a nonprofit organization, and they work with the city. So anything that goes into that used for future festivals of craft chocolate and other things that they do here in Rushville. So it's a great way to start life here in Rushville.
It sounds like it. One more comment again from Elmer. Is it open to reserve a stand? If not, when is it going to be open? And I'm sharing with you the current homepage of the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival website. So if Elmer wants to reserve a stand, Dustin, how might he go about letting you know that he's interested?
Email me. And whenever we get the vendor application made, I'll send it to him. And that's kind of all we can do right now. I've had a few people interested in being vendors and speakers, things like that already, which is great. The focus is on quality over quantity. We need to have enough there, of course, but it's all about quality experience and making sure that we're able to communicate that to the general public, to get participants in the festival. We want the vendors to make money. We realize that it is a small town, but it has a good radius, like you said before, but it is also year one. So we have to be respectful of understanding the growth and not try to oversell it to people. It's going to be all about experience, education, and you got to balance that value. And we'll be transparent with you every step of the way. There's no reason for us not to be. So if you have any questions about it, always just let me know.
Gotcha. And what I want to do is I want to point out on the homepage for the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, if you go there and you scroll down to the bottom, there is an info at contact address, and that's how they should be in touch with you. Is that correct?
That's a good way. If they know me directly, they can send it to me directly. That might be an easier way at this moment to do it. So, and we will use this as a way to promote the Craft Chocolate Challenge as well. Try to set up a booth with the winners, things like that, to sell their chocolate. So we would, in a sense, we'll be buying chocolate from the winners, having it here at that booth to sell winning chocolate, the Craft Chocolate Challenge winning chocolate bars. So
that's great. All right, and so
full circle.
Well, it's one of the things which I think is really important that, that I wished that the other competitions would do. I mean, what you do is you get a sticker or something like that, and they do some promotion, but as a winner, you're generally required to do all your own marketing of the fact that you won. And one of the things that you and I have discussed are what are the things that the organization can do to promote it. So this tasting of the winners at the end of the year is a good thing to do. Promoting a stand on this festival where even if you can't, you might not want to come all the way from Honduras. Yes, please come all the way from Honduras. But if you don't want to come, there will be a way for your chocolate as a winner to be on sale during this period. So I think it's really, really important that the competition contributes to the success of the people who are winners in the competition.
Yeah,
I think that's really great.
It will primarily, the way the timing of it will be kind of like the kickoff. So like this festival will be the kickoff to season 4 of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. By kicking off the season 4, we are celebrating the winners of season 3, kind of like we did at the virtual tasting, kind of that way. So anybody who would want to come that was a winner, we'd definitely welcome you to come and try to find every way we can possibly help you do so. Like I said, it's a nonprofit deal. We'll try to make things happen. If you want to be here and you are in Honduras or you are in Japan or you are wherever, we'll try to make it happen.
Yeah, I personally would like to see a tasting event where the panel consisted of winners of the Craft Chocolate Challenge, each sharing their winning chocolate with people. And you get so that people who are in the tasting can have a chance to speak directly with the makers and understand. I think that would be a great thing to do, which could be a lot of fun. And fun is the name of the thing. I want to thank Dustin for being here today in this episode of Pod Safe Chocolate, and to remind everybody, excuse me, as I do at the end of most episodes, which is if you're working with chocolate and you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Until the next time, everybody, take care